wanted to increase the amount of power on the way out, how would you do that? You want to increase the stretch shortening cycle. Thrust the hips harder. Or what if there was more speed coming in? Okay, so watch. Here's a regular hard style swing. But that's all my hips coming up. So if I add speed on the way down, watch how much faster it comes up. Do you guys see the difference there? So slide swing is fairly easy. There's really two base ones that are easy to catch. So here's your half body circle, right? And if you add the hand from a bottoms up catch, it brings you really easy into a side swing with a wrap. That makes sense, yes? Okay, so watch. I'm going to stick the next one. So in other words, I'm not going to let it wrap. So in this version, I'm going to take my hand from here, and I'm just going to bring it down lower, and you're going to spin faster. I'm going to see if you guys can feel the difference. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Let's see if you guys figure it out. So I'm going to wrap it. So now typically it would come up here. I want you guys to shorten it. See if you guys can feel that a little bit different. Here it is. Make sense? So all you're doing is taking a step. It's easiest if you step with the leg with the kettlebell in it. Well, I shouldn't say easiest, but it doesn't matter totally. You can do with either one. I've just found over time it's been easier to teach when they're moving with the leg that has the kettlebell. Say again? Same neural pathway. Up together, down apart. That's exactly how I teach it. Like, I want that pattern going in your head as you do it. The down apart's really important. Yeah? All right, give yourself 10 of those. So here's your figure eight. What did I just teach you guys from the outside? Side swing. So I'm going to go pinky corner. Only because it's easier for me to have the handle to grab. You totally could go here, but that means you're going to have to toss it when you go through the legs. You guys know that? When you guys are going around the body, if I hold the pinky corner, then there's always handle for me to grab. I don't have to let it go. If I go thumb corner, then when I pass from this hand, I got to give it air. It may be 2 inches of air, but 2 inches of air can cause a miss. That makes sense? So when you're teaching stuff like this is an easy technique to make it easier to learn because there's just less room for error. Okay, so we're going to go 1 figure eight into a catch. Keep it in that same hand. 1 figure eight into a catch. I like to go into a 1 loop. catch. Okay? All right, so I'm still gonna grab pinky corner. I'm gonna give you guys 2 ways and let you guys work on both. So if I go 1 loop catch, so here's my 1 loop catch. Now if I do it this way, I will always switch hands because I'm keeping that same hand on the bell as I switch. That make sense? What if I wanted to do the same leg? So you see you have to switch? Does that make sense? So walking swing is just, it's up, you step, it's up, you step. You can do backwards. Yeah? All right. All right, you want me to catch it? There you go. She's being picky. Does that make sense? I just added a step to your 1 loop catch. You're stepping with the foot. You are stepping with the thrust that throws you forward. So it's like when you're here, you're grounded, and then as you throw it, it's weightless. That's when you step, and you do it again. Right? So you got to be grounded at the point of explosion and step when it's moving. The momentum of the kettlebell actually carries you forward. Okay, so they will swing like this. Okay, you guys got to get it here and then pivot. Does that make sense? Now, you don't pivot until the kettlebell is here. If you pivot here, you just create a transverse plane motion, and it's going to come down like this. That make sense? You got to get it over the head to pivot. Anything else is, well, you signed the waiver, so not recommended. Okay, so if you want to progress through the whole thing, give yourself 90-degree swings. Just practice up weightless and move. Up weightless and move. And you're gonna have to lock it in. You need your hips to pivot up. And then you slow it down. That makes sense? So you're trying to get, this is momentum, and this is eccentric control. Core strength line all the way down the side of your body. The slower that goes, the better it is for the movement. Can you see that again? Thumbs together, thumbs through, grab the ball. So that's your start. Okay, hands are on the ball, thumbs around the horns. So you start like this. Swing. Up, here. Now you got to get tight. Lock it in. Until you get to the bottom. That's it. And then back over again. Anyway, we're going to hold our kettlebell like we're holding our golf club or our baseball bat. So here, whatever thumb is in front, that's the wrong way to cue it. The heel of your hand is what's leading. That make sense? That's how I'd be swinging. If you're a baseball player, that's how I'd be swinging. So the heel of the hand is leading. Here's my grip. Out is step into it so it lands in your swing. And then you drop it. So I'm reversing my swing. And there's nothing wrong with using this as the beginning of the movement. Like this, I don't know, give them 30, 40 of these, that's plenty. Okay, your exit is important. Once it's going, it's going. It doesn't want to stop anymore. So you got to step into it. Otherwise, it's your whole body. You're going to end up doing some crazy stuff like that to stop it. Okay? And so you can go like this. Or you can pass it. We're going to start with a 2 kettlebell front squat. We're going to keep our reps nice and low. I just want to make sure you guys are familiar. We all should have done this before. Absolutely, you can't pass level 1 without it. Okay, so let's just get into the movement prep of doing things with 2 kettlebells. 2 kettlebell front squat, 5 reps with a 4-second tempo. Oh yeah, you guys got partners, eh? All right, I'll go with the first group. 3, 2, 1, up. All right, so what I want to make sure you guys do is rack it properly, tuck it in nice and tight. All right, we're going to sit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sit. Tuck, tuck, tuck here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sit. Okay. Put it away. You don't want your fingers in there. And you make that a habit as soon as you can. Okay? Because if I'm cleaning, okay, you don't want your fingers there. Never, never, never. There's no reason for it. Even if you got one hand, you don't need it. So make that a habit early. Yeah? In terms of your military pressing, there is like this movement that happens in your body that I want you guys to learn how to use. So from this position, you're going to come up and through with your body. But your thumbs aren't going to be this direction. You're trying to get your thumbs as far back this way as possible. Does that make sense? You guys see what I'm doing there? All right, I want you guys to try the military press slower and see if you can be more pronounced on that vertical of the forearms, and then as it gets through your center of gravity, you drop it through into your shoulder girdle. Out of your shoulder girdle into your hips. So the weight is kind of grounded in the hips. Once it gets past the hips, it's grounded in the shoulder girdle. Hips, shoulder girdle. Low shelf, high shelf. The big thing I've seen, you guys need to turn your thumbs more to the sagittal plane, which will rotate your external rotation in your arms and lock it in a little bit more. All right. Kettlebell down here. So that's part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to increase that range of motion where it's harder, because if you have it up here, then having it down here is going to be that's going to be simple for you guys. So that's essentially what you guys are trying to work on with those. Okay, we're going to try this too. So again, I know you guys know how to clean. What we're going to practice is a 2 kettlebell clean. I want you guys to practice the art of regripping the kettlebell. So as you come from the bottom of a swing motion, the kettlebell should be in your fingers. Okay? Hook grip into your fingers, not into your palm. Okay? If it's in your palm, that's going to make that's what gives you really bad calluses. So you guys want to be here. On the way up, while it's weightless, you push your hand all the way in, and that's how you're going to get to that position. So in a clean, we have something we call regripping. Fingers up to your hands. Fingers up to your hands. So it should skip where your calluses go every single time. Does that make sense? All right, so we're going to try that with your 2 kettlebells. So here I am. I'm going to try to exaggerate this. So I give it to my fingers. And then I come back out of my fingers. That makes sense? So my fingers work at the bottom. They work really hard at the bottom. They do nothing at the top. That make sense? We are going to do a 2 kettlebell swing. A 2 kettlebell swing, it sounds like it's just a swing with 2 kettlebells. It's harder than that, right? Because these 2 kettlebells, they tend not to move together. That's your job, is to try to keep them moving together. Everything else you know, where to breathe, how to ground, all that stuff. But now your fight is going to be to keep these kettlebells unified. You guys ever try kettlebell burpees? All right, so in a kettlebell burpee, your key is to jump past the kettlebell. So whether you push up or not, that's totally up to you. But you have to jump past the kettlebells. Okay, so from this position, you can do whatever. You could deadlift. You could clean. You could swing. That makes sense? You could just burpee. Okay? Your placement of the bells is crucial, right? You want something heavy enough to support your weight. You must jump feet past the bell, okay? What that allows you to do is when you're coming up, engage the glutes. If you jump here, you're coming with your low back. Does that make sense? And you don't want coming to your low back with speed. A 2 kettlebell overhead lunge. So why do I do overhead lunges? Core, what else? Shoulder stability. Yes? All right. Okay, so what is a 2 kettlebell snatch? It's a swing, a clean, and your overhead lunge all at the same time. That make sense? So those who are efficient learn to deflect. Okay, so from here, your first movement is this. I drop the weight and I lean back. And I really want you guys to practice this. Drop and lean back. See if you can pull it back. See if you can feel that. Drop and lean back. Okay, that leads you to do you see how much of my body I'm using? Lean, it pulls me forward, it comes forward, I dip under, I stand. Fall away. You want the weight to go like this, straight down. If you do this, it goes on your head. So just get out of the way. It'll pull you back, don't you worry. What's the first regression to Renegade rows would be this. We've done this already. Okay, because in a Renegade row, you want them focused on the stability in that standing hand. Okay, your next step would be to row. That's not new to anybody, is it? Okay, beautiful. So your progression is to crawl. That makes sense? So here's what you guys got to focus on. So I'm going to start from that staggered position. And when I drop into this push-up, my weight is in my back hand. As I come up, my weight goes into my front hand. That allows me to row. All right, so we are going to seesaw press next. Now, the seesaw press, when you guys are on a seesaw, when one side is going up, the other side is going down at the same time. So it's not an alternating one arm, left arm, then right arm press. They've got to move together. It's not a seesaw. So I'm going to use my hips. So that's my start. You should be able to work it. You're giving me ideas for my class now. That makes sense? So if you do it from the back, you should feel that line pull across the back of your shoulder blades. Does that make sense? Seesaw press. All right, go for it. So the key on an alternating clean is you only think about the one that's got to come up, right? So the up kettlebell is the only one that you're worried about. The down kettlebell, gravity will take care of that. Make sense? So all I'm saying to myself is up, 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 up. Some people just get it right away. And some people need that up, up, up in their head to make it work. We're going to be alternating bottoms up clean. I think it's one of the only few times I will tell you guys not to roll your thumbs. You won't have time. Okay. Yes? Okay, so I'm going to stay the same side. I'm going to switch sides. And then you can alternate. Make sense? So this one is the alternating clean. It's just you're catching it on the top shelf. Just like the alternating clean, you can go at different paces. You don't have to go fast. All right. Whew. Iron cross really is tuck hips, brace in, lock your lats. Okay, the kettlebells are in your arms, but your arms got nothing to do with whether or not you get it or not. Okay, ground, tuck, brace, lock in your lats. If you can hold that position locked out, you got a shot. Okay, so before you guys move, there's a line that comes from your pinky to your shoulder, fire that. There's a line that comes from your shoulder to your hips, fire that. And there's a line from your hips to the floor, fire all of those. Then you lock it all in, and then it should be tension all the way down. Does that make Okay, so then your follow-up movement is 2 kettlebell windmill. So when you set for the 2 kettlebell windmill, you want the kettlebell on the floor by the inside of the heel. And you're going to lock out the same way. And no, I didn't make up the name. It is actually called 2 kettlebell anyhow. So one way I start is I come up from here. And then that's a switch into a windmill on the other side. The other way I tend to do it is I drop into a squat. Side press is windmill stance at my legs. Here's my kettlebell on the side of my hip. Notice my kettlebell is not touching my shoulder. Okay, so that's the most important part. Well, one of the most important parts. Look how it's in a line. Not touching my shoulder. Okay, so from here, my first step is to really fire my lat hard. If I fire it hard, you'll see my arm move. You guys see that? Okay, so that motion is what I'm going to use to drive it up. So I'm going to start with my legs, get everything tight all the way up, and then find my lat, and then press out the side, and then pull into the side. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to set my legs, and the first thing I'm going to do is engage my feet into the floor, and I'm going to get an external rotation at my femur bones, at my thighs, and that's going to help me activate my glutes. So my first move is this. You guys see that? That's how I'm going to get tight and locked in. I'm already locked in up here. And then I can keep my eyes on this weight. Heels stay in. That makes sense? That's an overhead squat. Okay, so when you guys overhead squat, now your focus is on lock, and I want my legs to be engaged and tight, and now I'm literally pulling my body, the weight down using my legs, so I have to keep structure and form in my legs. If I do not keep ankle, knee, and hip alignment, you will lose everything. If you're coming out of alignment, ask yourself where you're coming out of alignment, because whatever you're So you're going to take your overhead squat and add a press to it. Does that make sense? So I'm here, I'm racked, just your regular rack. That's the level of the kettlebell. It's supposed to stay where it is in space, and I got to get down. But it's literally working this movement from a press. For reps. Okay, and so what that'll help you guys feel is, you know what are your rectors supposed to be doing? What are your hip flexors supposed to be doing? How much are your legs really kicking in for a press, regardless whether you're standing, squatting, sitting? See, perpendicular to the floor. That's the part you got to get. You got to keep that forearm perpendicular to the floor. Lock the lats in the same way you did like when you're doing the side press. starts like a side press, but the kettlebell doesn't move. I got to get under it. Okay, so there's two ways out. You can come back. So the motion is like this kind of rolling motion where I go under. You can come back out using that motion, or you can just stand yourself back up. Those are the two ways out. Okay, watch my left side. Just so you guys don't feel bad, let me show you my left side. So remember when I said you got to do this? If you can't do that, it's not happening. And you can't do that and then clench the lats, it's also not happening. Oh my God. Does that make sense? You guys kind of seeing it? All right, let me break it down in space. So in space, vertical, lock, I don't know, down there someplace. And you're going to go like this with your body. So I'm literally going around it. But to do that, you've got to anchor this arm in space using that lat so that I can get around it. That's what you're trying to do.